We are back on Get Up, and the wait continues for Kawhi Leonard to make his free agent decision. Raptors, Lakers, Clippers. Kawhi fresh off winning his second career NBA Finals MVP in a season in which he most certainly got the last laugh.
When you're sure you're on your own.
It had been a long time since Kawhi Leonard had played a game.
Look ahead, you're not alone.
He'd been sidelined by injury for several months, and fans were waiting with eager anticipation as he prepared to return to the court as a Raptor.
And rise up.
And then... it felt as though everyone was laughing at Kawhi. But then he started playing, and the laughter quickly turned to cheers. It was in the playoffs when Kawhi gave the NBA universe something else to remember.
Got it! Kawhi Leonard shot danced on the rim.
What was once a smattering of smirks transformed into jaws now agape in total awe of Kawhi's greatness.
Best basketball player on the planet Earth.
In the end, Kawhi led the Raptors to an NBA Finals win, defeating the Warriors dynasty and earning another Finals MVP along the way. And so it was that when all was said and done, it was Kawhi Leonard who had the last laugh. As good as it gets. And look at the postseason, in case you've forgotten, because it was 3 weeks ago, which in the world we live in today feels like years. He scored 732 points in the playoffs this year. Only Jordan and LeBron ever scored more. Candidly, had this series gone to a seventh game, he might have broken the record for most points scored in a single playoff. So Kawhi Leonard holds in the palm of his extraordinarily large hand the fate of the NBA as we know it, at least in the short term. Now, he might go to the Lakers. We've talked a lot about the Lakers and their lack of depth and what happens if they don't get Kawhi. Well, those issues were on full display in Summer League last night. The Lakers were blasted by the Heat, 106-79. Roscoe Allen and Zach Norvell Jr. were the Lakers' leading scorers. I don't in any way want to suggest that how they fare in Summer League is significant to what they are looking at going ahead. It did seem like a cheap shot I could take at you, and so I was happy to do it.
I appreciate it.
But let's talk about what the Lakers look like if they don't get Kawhi, okay? I'll keep saying it. If they get Kawhi, forget it. Cancel the season. I mean, there's no one going to stop those three guys if they are healthy. But if they do not get Kawhi Leonard, they have seen a lot of the other options choose other places already. So what do they do?
It's you ever go to dinner and you order a few appetizers instead of an entree? Like that's what's going to be forced to do. It's like, all right, we didn't get Kawhi, but we're going to break this up. We're going to break this up.
I actually occasionally prefer that.
I enjoy that.
Where
I enjoy
you're
a lot of
going,
different flavors.
That's a good dinner.
Yes, it is.
So tell me who are the
and I still want to make the case. I'm going to make the
here?
case that this is still a good Lakers team if they don't get Kawhi. You've got big names out there, Boogie Cousins. That's something that could happen. I feel like he's waiting to see if Kawhi goes to Lakers or not. You've also got Marcus Morris. This is someone who people aren't really talking about. He's an effective player. Now, someone's got to bring the ball up as well, but Marcus Morris, again, is great. Danny Green is a good defender. They need shooting, they need defense. Then you start looking at Avery Bradley, maybe Tyreek Evans, Alec Burks. They're going to have to pick up players like this and get 4 of them probably just to make that $132 million spot that Kawhi would take up.
I want to ask a legitimate question here.
Is it about appetizers?
What's that? No, it isn't. But
is there a good place that I should know?
It sort of is, no. It is, do we have the confidence in the people who are making the decisions running the Lakers right now to put the right pieces around LeBron and Anthony Davis if they don't get Kawhi? Anyone could figure out, yes, get Kawhi Leonard. They freed up the cap space and they did it. Are we confident that the current brain trust of the Los Angeles Lakers will put the right pieces around those guys?
I'm confident that Rob Pelinka will call LeBron James and say, how do I do this? That's what I'm confident about.
Okay, which is not saying a lot for the front office aspect of it.
Fair enough, but I don't care how it gets done. Look, if it gets done, are you confident it gets done? That they put the right guys around?
If they do not get Kawhi Leonard, I think yes, you'll have capable pieces. But is it going to be enough? Look, we just spent the previous segment talking about a Warriors team that has 3 or 4 starters that are all stars, and we're concerned about their depth. So if you don't get Kawhi Leonard, here's a list of the best remaining free agents that are available. Okay? Like, you're going to try to pull enough out of this to put around essentially the 4 players that you have actively signed on your roster and say, okay, this is enough to win an NBA championship. Look, Anthony Davis and LeBron James, phenomenal. 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA, but you need more.
So you're staying on that. Regardless of whether they get Kawhi, you consider them to be the favorite. You're doing that with the 3 appetizers. You're going with a little caprese salad. Half order of pasta.
I love a caprese salad.
Something like that. That's it. You're going, then there's your dinner around those 2 guys.
I think people have forgotten just how good Anthony Davis and LeBron James are because they haven't seen them play basketball for 3 months.
Right, and we'll see how good they could be together. So that's the Lakers if they don't get Kawhi. How about the Raptors if they should lose Kawhi? Laura?
I'm glad that Greeny mentioned his favorite caprese salad.
That's right.
But let's get to the Raptors, because if they don't get Kawhi, Tim Bontemps, they might still be pretty good.
They are going to be pretty good, and they're going to be built around Pascal Siakam, the 25-year-old forward. I think he's going to be an all-NBA caliber forward going forward. Again, one of the key things that Toronto can sell to Kawhi is that they've got a young star player to play alongside him for the rest of his prime, right? But outside of Siakam, the rest of the roster is kind of in flux. They have Kyle Lowry, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Fred VanVleet. All those guys are on expiring deals. They could keep them, run it back, try to be as competitive as possible. They could maybe flip them, try to get some assets and kind of, get some younger guys to supplant them and fill in around Pascal going forward. But the only thing that's for certain in Toronto is if Kawhi does leave, that team is Pascal Siakam's team for the future.
Yeah, to me, Masai Ujiri has been given so much credit, and rightfully so thus far. He does seem to be a mastermind a little bit in the way that he handles this. How much pressure will be on him if they don't get Kawhi?
Honestly, I would say no pressure at all because they got done what they wanted to get done, right? They made the trade last summer that changed the NBA, that won them the title, and really changed the course of that franchise's history forever. So, look, they obviously want to win again. They would love Kawhi to come back, but at this point, all of this is gravy now because they got the title they wanted.
Yeah, and if you think about the way that Kawhi changed the NBA last year, and then now he could change it even further this year. Greeny, some sneaky big news that you want to tell us.
Yeah, there's some players that have changed teams with these sneaky big moves that probably should get more attention. In a different week, they would. Seth Curry, an agreement to return to Dallas, 4 years, $32 million after a season with the Trailblazers. This all the reporting from Woj. Curry not the only departure from Portland. SNY reporting that Enes Kanter is signing a 2-year deal with Boston. They needed a big desperately because the departure of Al Horford, so that's a nice signing there. Woj reporting another former Trailblazer, Wesley Matthews, will play for his 4th team in 2 seasons. He agrees to a 1-year deal to join the Bucks, filling the void left behind by Malcolm Brogdon. And then there's Troy Daniels. He and the Lakers have come to an agreement on a 1-year, $2.1 million contract. His agent is confirming to ESPN. So those were some of the moves on Monday. Here were some other notable moves from Sunday. The Pelicans get J.J. Redick from Philly, a 2-year deal. Patrick Beverley re-signing with the Clippers, $40 million for 3. And Bojan Bogdanovic leaving Indiana for Utah on a 4-year contract and big money for a Jazz team that suddenly looks really good. So we take a look at those sneaky big moves. And everyone talking, of course, over the last 2 days about KD and Kyrie and where will Kawhi go. But of these, of the guys who aren't getting that much attention, which move, Sean, in your mind is the most impactful?
I think it's the Utah Jazz and what they were able to accomplish by getting Bogdanovic. And the big reason why is it provides another stretch shooter on the outside. And you couple that with the addition in which they got Mike Conley that answered their point guard issues. I mean, that is a massive upgrade at the point guard position for a team that won 50 games a season ago. And then when you have outside shooting, perimeter shooting that you just added with Bogdanovic, now it opens up the floor that much more for a guy like Donovan Mitchell to get back to being who he was his rookie season in the NBA. And I think if that happens, that's where the Utah Jazz are going to take a major step forward.
All right, he's got Bogdanovic. Tim Bontemps, what's your sneaky biggest move?
I'm going to cheat a little bit and go back to Wes Matthews from that graphic and pivot to saying the entire Milwaukee Bucks summer so far. Like coming into this summer, everybody wasn't sure what that team was going to look like, right? They're going to butt up against the luxury tax in a small market. And they've kept every single guy, George Hill, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton. They get Robin Lopez, who's a really nice depth big. They sign Wes Matthews, who's a really good stretch guy for them on the wing. And they also are going to trade Malcolm Brogdon to the Indiana Pacers. They're going to get 3 picks back. And they're also going to get a trade exception. They can maybe add another guy down the road. So to me, they're going to be just as deep as they were before, if not deeper. And I think right now they're the favorite to get out of the East.
Yeah, and look, if you look at what they've accomplished in the market in which they've done it, obviously a strike gold with the draft pick of Giannis, but then they have made all the sneaky good moves around him. Sneaky big move, David Jacoby.
For me, it's cancer to the Celtics. Now, I don't think it makes them a championship contender, but people think, oh, we lost Kyrie, we plug in Kemba. It's not that simple. They lost Rozier. They lost Morris. Morris was a very important player for them. They had a huge hole up front that they've now filled. However, they filled it with someone who only plays on one side of the basketball court. Defensively, this is really not helping them at all, which is going to be a problem for them as the season goes on.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought that. Let me take this out to the table because I want to talk about the Celtics for a minute. I hate to say this, but I genuinely believe, and Bontemps, I'm looking at you because you were around that team all year long.
Right.
Kyrie Irving is a brilliant player, but he was their problem. And I think that by him leaving, and I got yelled at on this set so many times by Jalen sitting there and others when I kept saying they're better without him, they're better without him. They're going to be, and they replaced him with Kemba Walker, who in talent, he's below Kyrie, but not that far.
Right.
The loss of Harford bothered me, but they still have a lot of good pieces there and a lot of good players who did not play as well as they can last year because of the circumstances. I think the Celtics are going to be really good next year.
I think they are going to be really good. I think, to your point, I don't know if they're better without Kyrie Irving, but I think, to your point, if Kemba Walker, I think, is the same level player as Kyrie Irving, but is not going to bring the same headaches off the court, I think they will be better in that aspect. Jacoby's point, though, about the defense, that is the key, right? If they can find a way to get a big in there, whether it's Robert Williams who develops or they go trade for a big that can give them a defensive presence, then I think they might be better than they were last year. And they might be a team that wins 50-something games. But I think as of now, that weakness in the paint defensively, I think is really going to limit them.
Celtics, yes or no, a legit contender in the East?
No, I mean, with what the Sixers have done and with what the Bucks have done, like I just don't see the Celtics being in the top three.
I think they're a top 4 seed.
If they get a defensive big, legit contender.
All right, we'll wait and see. Again, I am in on Golden State and I am in on Boston, which for fans of those teams is probably terrible news. Okay, another with my history, track record as picking these things. KD and Kyrie, a dream pairing. Could it turn into a nightmare? That's the question.